Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this author interaction organized as a part of the NLF Reading Challenge 2021. My name is Janvi, and I'm a reading specialist at Neve Academy. We are very excited to be here after our last interaction with the award-winning authors Kate DiCamillo and Joseph Bruchac, and we hope you are too. The NLF Reading Challenge is a 6-month-long reading event from January to June 2021 for students between 10 to 13 years of age. It's open to participants on the competitive and the non-competitive tracks, and we have students from across India participating in this challenge. In addition to fun book-based activities and regular author interaction, the challenge will conclude with a quiz competition that will see the 3 best teams win gold, silver, and bronze engraved trophies respectively, certificates of achievement, and a great set of books. Before we dive into the interaction, we would just like to point out to our audience that this is a webinar and we will not be able to respond to you if you raise your virtual hand. Please use the Q&A box to type out your questions. In fact, if you already have questions, please feel free to type them out already. If you are a student, teacher, or a school librarian, please do mention the name of your school along with your question. We're sure that you're eager to begin with this session, but before we do, we would just like to acknowledge that our country hasn't completely recovered from the health crisis. However, we are getting there slowly and steadily. We hope that these sessions have been a small breather for everyone who has been watching and continue to provoke deeper thought on the books that we have been reading. Today, we have with us an upcoming children's author, Aftab Yusuf Sheikh. Aftab is a poet, writer, teacher, and a translator hailing from Mumbai. He writes in English and as well as in Urdu. He has been writing since the age of 8 and has published his poetry in a number of anthologies and journals. His autobiographical novel, The Library Girl, was published in 2017. His recent children's book, Letters to Ammi, came out in 2019. He has won several awards, including the Sahitya Kosh Samman 2021, the NE8X Book Honor 2021 by the NE8X Online Fest, and the Poesis International Award for Excellence in Literature 2020. Letters to Ammi was also shortlisted as a part of the Neve Book Award 2020 in the Junior Reader category, adjudged as one of the 14 great children's book on religious tolerance and interfaith harmony by HuffPost India, and of the top kids books for 2019 by Indian publishers by the Indian Express, and was on the Get Lit list of the best children's book for 2019. Welcome, Aftab. We are very happy to have you.
Thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you so much for finding time and coming here. Aftab, would you like to read a bit from excerpt from the book? Sorry.
Yeah, as we know, this book is based on letters written by Fatima to her mother. So I'd like to read this particular letter, which is short as well as it gives an idea of the tone of the book. So this is what she writes when she is sitting near the Qutub Minar with her aunt. She says, "Dear Amme Jaan, we are sitting on a bench. The Qutub Minar rises to the sky in front of us. Khala tells me that out of all the places in Mehrauli, this one is her favorite. She tells me about the conversations the two of you had sitting on this very bench. It must have taken you a lot of courage to talk to your parents about wanting to marry Apu. Khala takes my palm and kisses it. Her eyes are wet. She smiles and says, 'You are your mother's daughter.' 14 years later, this bench, once half shared by you, is now half shared by me. My mother's daughter, Fatima."
Thank you so much for that. That was such a touching read. I would like to dive into the questions directly with this one. And as you as you started by saying that Letters to Ami is in a unique format, and that's what I absolutely love about the book. It has these mixture of illustrations, pictures, and the storytelling is in form of letters. Something that we don't do anymore. Like we write like one line here, emails, or maybe like two WhatsApps, but it's in letters. Um, how is how is this idea conceived? How did you go about creating this? Also, I was wondering whether these letters were written in the same order as they are printed in the book.
The idea, the concept of using the photographs as well as the illustrations and all that, that was primarily the idea of my publishers, especially Shobha ma'am, Shobha Vishwanath. She decided all these things. But the story was since the start based on letters. Actually, I had the idea of the story came to my mind when I was in the post office, the Jama Masjid post office. I was there, and suddenly I had this idea that of writing, two people connected to each other through letters. So I am always a fan of written letters. I'm always like that. Actually, whenever I go to a new place, a new city, I write a letter from there to my kids, and the
Oh,
letter
sweet.
reaches to me, and then I have collected those letters and I'll give it to them when they are teenagers. So I am very, emails are not a match for written letters. So that's why the idea was born in the post office and it is related to letters. So it's like that.
How lovely that's a very sweet anecdote that you've shared, that you write letters to yourself. To follow up this question, and someone from the audience also has asked, Tasmia Pasha, why do you think? What do you think of the sequence of the letters? Like, were they written in the same order, like the way you have, with the way they are printed? How did you go about choosing each of these?
The sequence, I don't think the sequence has any importance except for the last one,
Okay.
except for the last letter. But yes, I have tried it to keep it the way that when in the first letter there is a lot of fun, excitement, and then it moves on, it becomes sober, and then it moves on, and till the last letter it becomes very sad. So kind of moves like that. That thing is there. Otherwise, I didn't plan whether Qutub Minar will come first or Jama Masjid will come later. It was just
Sure. Okay, thank you so much for that. I would like to request my colleague to share actually both of these letters that we're speaking about. So this is the first letter, which talks about this fun and is like a perfect example of this mixture of the picture and the illustration and of the excitement that when Fatima arrives to Delhi. And the next one is the last letter, which After very touchingly read out to us as well, that sitting on the bench. So yeah, thank you so much for that. We also have another question from the audience, from Mansi from Parikrama Sahakar Nagar. She asks, Anna, which is like an elder brother in colloquial language here, is Letters to Ami somehow connected to you?
very tricky kind of question. uh, Actually, you read about the library girl. You in the introduction you told me about that. The library girl is an autobiographical story. It is about somebody who was there in my life, and that person is not there anymore. So uh, this letters to Ami is a kind of, in a way, what if that person was there? What if library girl was not there? The story was not there. The ending was not there, but the library girl was there. And then I had a daughter with the library girl, and the name of that daughter was Fatima.
Oh, wow.
And then when Fatima is born, after that she passes away, not before Fatima. So it's a kind of extension of the same thing. And I always wanted to have a daughter, but my firstborn was a boy. So I thought that maybe I won't have a daughter. So Fatima is my imaginary daughter. All that she says about her father, that person is me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And many things are actual, real things, which she says about her father. Anyways,
How,
now I am a daughter's father also.
how lovely.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. In fact, this extends into my next question. Like, and as you've mentioned here, and even in your book launch for Letters to Ammi, you had shared that, like, how the most protagonists, mostly all protagonists in your stories end up being women. And in fact, with Letters to Ammi, you said Fatima is your imaginary daughter, as you have just shared. And most of these incidents have happened to you. Can you share a bit more about these challenges of, writing in a woman's voice, especially, these are like first person written letters. So how have you gotten into that mold writing? If there is a process that, it can be shared with our young writers.
Being born, being born to a woman has helped a lot. Being a
That's
mother's
beautiful.
son has helped
Hmm.
a lot. Uh, Writers, artists are supposed to be sensitive human beings, and I am fortunately very sensitive. So, in our country, especially, women comes in the weaker section kind of. Whatever we may say, we are doing progress and all that, whatever. But we know that in our heads, still there are many things which are supposed to be overcome. So what happens is, uh, becoming a, obviously I cannot think what exactly a female thinks, but I can at least be sensitive enough to try to feel what
Portraying.
a female might feel in that situation. And automatically, not even in stories, even in my poems, in
Hmm.
poems where there is no need of a woman, suddenly a woman comes and she takes the poem away. I don't know why that happens. Maybe because I don't know. I'm not a feminist kind of. I don't want that tag, but I'm. I don't know. I'm very sensitive
Okay.
towards these things. Whenever I see somebody, be it anybody, anything, any creature or anybody who is in
Hmm.
trouble or something, so I feel very awkward kind of. So I write for
Sure.
women.
Yeah, sure. I think being empathetic is a version of being feminist, and probably we should all, as artists or as writers, as human beings, should always be aware of that. I There's another question in terms of like when you've spoken about your publisher in the first answer, that how this mixture of illustrations and pictures came together. How did that collaboration work in terms of were these places chosen by you, and then the team went and like pictured this? How was this connection made? And also, just to add on to this, I know that this is part of the City series that Karadi Tales, the publishing, has done. And you're not from Delhi, and yet you've done a very poetic journey with the places. Like it's really like a memorabilia that has been made out of it. Like every person in Delhi would connect to it. And I was just wondering that how did that come about?
The places were originally chosen by me when I wrote the book. The first thing that came about the book was the text, and then maybe they decided that we should have illustrations as well as photographs with that. So those things came on later on. I didn't even know that there were actual photographs being taken for that
Oh, wow.
initially. Then I came to know that. And the book took a lot of time, especially because of the photographs,
Hmm.
the ideal photographs. So here it is a mixture of all three: the photographs as well as the uh, text and the art also. It is, if you notice, there is a mixture of in the illustration part. There is a mixture of two things. There are photographs which are incomplete, and then
Yeah.
the drawing completes the image. So that is actually the two Delhis that Fatima is witnessing. The
Yeah, that's
photographs is the Delhi which she is seeing right now, and the romantic kind of the imaginary the drawing is the Delhi that Fatima has seen through her mother's eyes. So these two are mixing together now right in front of our eyes. So it's like that.
It's
And
really beautiful.
you're saying
Thank you.
about Delhi, actually, I don't. It's the same case like why I write about females, uh, women. It's like I don't have any explanation for Delhi, but yeah, I like the place because I am a very big fan of history,
Hmm.
and obviously then history means Delhi. Delhi means history. So the place, the layers, the very beauty of Delhi is that it is made up of many layers. Many cities are, thrust one upon the another, and so that is very exciting for me. So that is why I love Mumbai a lot, also because of
So,
the history.
hmm.
But Mumbai has a very small history compared to Delhi's history.
Hmm.
So Delhi has
Sure.
a special place, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Maybe it's your writer's gut that comes in there. I
Maybe
have a
because of the library as
Absolutely. I have a question from the audience where Mansi again from Sahakar Nagar Parikrama asks us, Anna, have you written a letter to anyone? And I would like to add a part of another part to this question by saying that there are many budding authors in our audience, and you started writing at a very young age of 8 and continued with it. It would be lovely if you could share like some of your practices, how the process started and how you've been able to consistently maintain it, because everyone starts writing, but then how do you sustain it and continue with it?
For the first question, I would say I have told already that
Yeah.
I write letters to my kids. My son is 4 years old, and my daughter is around 9 or 10 months old. So obviously they cannot read the letters which I write to them, but I write to them because at this moment I want them to relive what I was thinking about them that day. So I write letters, and I write letters to many people. Obviously not for professional purposes because emails are we cannot be blind to the usefulness of emails. But yes, I tried to write. I also tried to have some pen friends kind of, but it didn't work out. We moved on to emails finally. But yes, I like writing letters, and more than writing letters, I like getting and reading letters. When somebody takes the effort to write something instead of typing, it means a lot. And then you were asking about the process. Actually, honestly, I'm I'm not a right person for the consistency part. I'm a very lazy writer. The ideas come to my head, they stay there. Sometimes they start rotting, then I have to hurry up. It's like that. But yes, I have also tried to listen to other writers and try to find out how they do the thing, whatever they do. But I have realized that I do things my own way. So I try to learn from other people, but obviously you cannot change your own creative process. So it's like that. I try to absorb, and you're talking about other budding writers who are listening to us right now. For them, I would say two things are very important. One is reading as much as you can, and the other is trying to be as human as you can. These two things will help you become good writers. If not writers, at least very good human beings.
Thank you so much for that one. uh, in in continuation to your process of a writer, you're a bilingual writer. You write in English as well as in Urdu. And I've heard writers, mostly authors have this say that, they have one thinking language, and that's where, that's their creative language of like expressing. How does it work for you? Are there any challenges of being this bilingual writer? Do you like also have like this division of, how does the story come to you first?
Uh, Actually, what happens is uh, I have only known English through books and through my teachers. Otherwise, uh, I don't live in an atmosphere, in a place where anybody converses in English. So the language that I originally think, know, or dream in, that is the Hindustani language, a mixture of Hindi and Urdu. That is the language that I know, and I think whatever I dream or think of, it comes in that language. But somewhere in the head itself, it filters and translates, and the sentences are made up in English. So it's
Beautiful.
the choice is very, not very difficult. I can choose to write the same thing in Urdu or the same thing in English. And writing in English is more difficult for me than Urdu or Hindi, because in Hindi or Urdu, I don't have to become a writer. I just have to say the things. In English, I have to, writerify the whatever I'm thinking about. It's like that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that one. Uh, your writings also indicate that you have a very close association with poetry. You've written poetry for readers across the age spectrum. Would you say that poetry is like your favorite form of expression? And like, how did you come build about it? Like, even your books are poetic in general. There's that sort of a feeling towards it.
I have noticed that many writers, they start as poets. So maybe there is something about poetry which pulls a person towards the world of words. So it is the same with me also. I started with poetry, but I don't know, I am a poet somewhere within me. But now writing prose is more interesting for me.
Hmm.
So maybe it's like that. Uh, I am a poet, but I'm trying to be a prose writer. So the poet is coming out in the prose writer, so forcing the poetry on the prose. It's like that. That's why maybe what I write may seem to the reader poetic or.
Yeah, I could be completely like, it's because once when you read a particular author, you get that flair of the style. That's why probably. But that's interesting that you're trying to make this sort of a transition that is happening there. We have another question from Mansi from Parikrama Sahakar Nagar, and she's asking, Anna, are there any rules and regulations while writing and publishing a particular book?
Um, she's calling me, and I don't know how to call a younger sister. What
It's usually you can call her by her name. It's Mansi.
okay. Okay. So for Mansi, my answer is that there are rules for publishing, which I am myself trying to learn. Okay. But writing has no rules. When you start writing with rules, you will stop writing. So what you have to do is you have to write without rules, and then those who are supposed to bring them to the public, the publishers, let them trim and do whatever they want to do it, regarding the rules. Because I have noticed that when I start going by the rules, I'm not able to say what I want to say.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
I
Thank you
don't
so
think
much
there
for
are
that.
rules.
Okay. We have one last question that we ask all our authors who come on board. Um, if if there is a shelf of books that have made you what you are today, what would those titles be on that shelf? Are there books that you swear by and you say that this is the ones that one should read, should have?
I haven't loved that much any book, I think. But yes, there are books which I want, which I would suggest that others also
Hmm.
read, like 100 Years of Solitude by Marquez,
Hmm.
and The Last Song of Dusk by Siddharth Dhanurasamy, and God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Uh, many other children's books which I have read, but I cannot exactly, identify them with their names which I have read a long time back. So yes, there are books. These are these are the names which I have kept in my head for questions like this. Because you
Thank,
cannot choose between things which you love so much. So all these, there are many books. I cannot name any. These three are the topmost is the 100 Years of Solitude, which is I think very important for everybody to read to understand the importance and value of human life.
thank you so much. Is there a poetry book that you would recommend all of us, if even if it is in Urdu, then get a
If it is
translation?
in Urdu, see, as I told you, poetry, all that was about English poetry. I love Urdu poetry still, and I write Urdu poetry also right now. So I like the poetry of Ghalib, but not the heavy stuff, the Persian and all that stuff. The light ones. Ghalib's work. There is a female poet from Pakistan, Parveen Shakir. Uh, I like her work because she has a very strong voice. I like that, and not strong in the sense that she forces her existence on you. She's there in her place, and I like that. So Parveen Shakir is there. There are other books. Faiz Ahmad Faiz is there. Urdu poetry. I may pick up a random book and I may like it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aftab. That was a very enlightening session, and it was also this world of poetry is usually we don't get younger people to discuss it and like talk about it. So it was nice. It was lovely for you to share your thoughts and ideas with us. Thank you so much. I hope that we get to meet each other in person once the pandemic has ended and we're able to do a physical festival.
That would be my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a lovely evening. I would also like to thank our audience for being a part of today's event. Our next session is with Jacqueline Woodson. She'll be discussing her book, Harbor Me, which is part of the Reading Challenge. Ms. Woodson is a recent recipient of the 2020 MacArthur Fellowship and the 2020 Hans Christian Andersen Award. We will be speaking with Ms. Woodson on Wednesday, 23rd, 6:30 p.m. India time. For those who have registered for our reading challenge and wish to be part of the grand finale quiz, it's scheduled to take place on June 30th, 5 p.m. IST. The details are up on our social media handles. Please go check them out. Please do follow us on all our social media handles to receive regular updates on our forthcoming events. See you everyone on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. To have a chat with Ms. Woodson. See you everyone. Good evening.